don't know. We'll start with this, but basically this segment's about how fucking comically evil Republicans are. First, let's start with Trump comparing himself to Hitler.
Vanity, corruption. Those are not the usual or normal words anyone thinks of to describe the United States president, but it is those prevailing themes that leap off every single page in a brand new book about Donald Trump's second term as president. Regime Change Inside the Imperial Presidency of Donald Trump. It is written by two New York Times reporters who have contributed enormously to what we as the public know about Donald Trump and his inner circle. Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan are those journalists. On every page, the book reveals something that in
I'm going to read this book and let you guys know, but I haven't had the chance to. I can't wait.
It would be scandalous and big news, kind of stories we'd talk about for the whole 2 hours on this show. And there are dozens of them in here, dozens of carefully reported accounts of Donald Trump pushing or ignoring norms and boundaries as those in his orbit do nothing over and over again to resist his worst impulses. Take, for example, the monumental decision to launch a war with Iran earlier this year. On that, Haberman and Swan report this. They write about how in February, Donald Trump met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu inside the Situation Room, which was weird in and of itself, as they report. Quote, the Situation Room had rarely been visited by a foreign leader in person for such a sensitive meeting. Inside the sit room, Netanyahu presented his case for attacking Iran, on which Trump was then sold. And when Trump's team met afterwards to discuss the plan's feasibility, here's how that went. Quote, when Trump joined the meeting, Ratcliffe briefed him on the U.S. intelligence assessment of Netanyahu's presentation. The CIA director used one word to describe the Israeli prime minister's regime change scenario, quote, farcical. At that point, Marco Rubio cut in, quote, in other words, it's bullshit, he said.
Yeah, and Trump still went for it, by the way. Trump still went for it. He still went for it.
Ratcliffe added that given the unpredictability of events in any conflict, regime change could still happen, but it should not be considered an achievable objective. Trump quickly weighed the assessment. Regime change, he concluded, would be, quote, their problem. It was unclear whether he was referring to the Israelis or the Iranian people. But the bottom line was that his decision to go to war against Iran would not hinge on whether parts 3 and 4 of Netanyahu's presentation were achievable. Trump remained very interested in accomplishing parts 1 and 2, killing the Ayatollah and Iran's top leaders and dismantling the Iranian military.
Which, you know, none of this has happened, of course.
Donald Trump here not reckoning with the reality that his advisors presented to him, as well as the reality of how his decisions will play with the American people and the rest of the world. The war with Iran remains deeply unpopular and is ongoing. Just 24% of the public thinks it has been worth the cost. The war has also created an unprecedented rift inside Donald Trump's own party and political coalition. But there's only one thing on Donald Trump's mind, and that is power. That motivation is as clear as day in another riveting story from the pages of Regime Change. Haberman and Swan report this, quote, Trump gestured for his aide, Natalie Harp, to bring us copies of a 2-page document. He began reading from it, reciting the names of some of history's most powerful figures, explaining how each fell short of his own power as U.S. president. Alexander the Great, the Caesars, William the Conqueror. They didn't have airplanes, right? You couldn't travel around. Genghis Khan, Attila the Hun, Tamerlane, Napoleon, he said with relish, Hitler, Mao, Stalin. These leaders maintained power through fear, he said. Who would ever do a thing like that, right?
You do, Trump. You want this.
Trump lingered on the document's central argument that each leader, however fearsome in his day, had no global reach. Their power was local, but his was not.
Yep. Okay. He wants to be Hitler, but global. Okay.
Donald Trump's gluttonous relationship with power, while growing increasingly detached from reality, is where we begin today with the co-authors of that important new book, New York Times White House reporter.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, it's comically evil how disgusting the Republicans are. They compare themselves constantly to Hitler. What's up? We have Trump cutting $67 million in teen pregnancy. We have the Justice Department signing a memo saying disabled Americans have no right to live in their own home. And we'll get back to that. And the NRA chief set a kitten on fire after torturing it with his fraternity brothers. Yeah. Some people just deserve it. Some people just deserve it. Remember, the co-founder for Facebook lost his ability to be at Facebook because of that story about him and the chicken, which wasn't good either. A government official wrote down in black and white that her own argument is wrong by every legal standard of the last 30 years, and she made it anyways. Here's what it means in plain terms. What do Republicans have against house pets? I don't know, man. Right now, 8.4 million people get help that lets them stay in their own homes. Because last summer, Trump's... Okay, keeping people in their own homes is cheaper. In one case, home care is under $7,500 a year. Yeah. The memo, because Trump last summer signed an order to deal with homelessness by force by sweeping people off the streets and committing them. He said it out loud during the campaign. He mentally ill belong back in institutions. So he wants to put disabled, which could mean anything under there, not just disabled people. It can mean anything. I don't want this for anybody, but this is a much larger, broader piece of legislation potentially that could come out than just disabled people in the medical term, because they could consider trans people, they could consider anti-Trump people, they could consider the mentally ill woke left and institutionalize them. Oh, the memo is how they get around it. They landed the same week Republicans slashed Medicaid, giving every cash-strapped state a perfect excuse to start cutting. Think tank drew up the plan. A lawyer wrote out the memo. President signed the order. These signatures, millions of people could lose their right to their own front door. We are about to spend the summer celebrating 250 years of American freedom. Some Americans are about to find it doesn't include them. Yeah, like, great job. Every single person who voted for Trump is complicit in this. Every single person who voted for Trump is complicit in this. And it's not hard. It's not hard to vote against Trump. Thankfully, you know, as I keep saying,
for the mayor,
breaking news
some
tied to
members
President
of the
Trump's push to give himself more control over America's
maybe.
elections.
I'm busy right now,
Federal judges
Rostrio.
just blocked key pieces of Trump's 2025 executive order on elections, specifically banning Trump from requiring people to show proof of citizenship in order to vote. MS Now senior legal reporter Lisa Rubin is here. Tim O'Brien is still.
Yep. So, like I keep telling us, these federal judges and these judges, lower level judges from Supreme Court standing, are constantly holding this fucking government up. And it would not be hard. Like, this is also Democrats' fault. All of this is the DNC's fault. Because not a single one of them had the fucking spine to give any American what they wanted. An actual platform. That's why Mamdani won. Look at Mamdani. Look at this guy.
Jewish community, including Democratic Congressman Josh Gottheimer, were alarmed by the language he used at the rally last week, calling AIPAC monsters who move dark money. These are phrases that invoke old anti-Semitic tropes and conspiracy theories. What do you say to those who are concerned that the language
This is how you have a spine, Democrats.
you used is dangerous?
Now, I want to be very clear. We're talking about a status quo where children are being killed on a daily basis. More than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by the Israeli military since the so-called ceasefire.
Yep. Every Democrat could have done this. Every single Democrat could have done this. And only now are we getting this shit. It makes me so angry. Because Republicans are evil monsters. And we have known this since before Al Gore lost.
Even an Al Jazeera journalist, Ahmed Wishah, was killed this past Saturday by an Israeli strike. And when I am speaking about AIPAC, I'm speaking about an organization that has been supportive of the status quo, that has fought any attempt to actually deliver safety to people, not just in Palestine, but frankly, through much of the region. And it is a status quo for immorality. It is one that I will not accept. And when it comes to the way in which they defend the status quo, oftentimes they defend it through direct contributions, as we are seeing right now in New York 13. Oftentimes they also support the status quo through dark money by filtering money that would have previously been directly from AIPAC, now through other shell organizations whose identities of their contributors are only made clear after an election. And I think that it is...
Yep, he's completely right. Every single Democrat that's funded by AIPAC don't talk about Israel for that exact fucking reason.
Important that when we ask ourselves how such death and destruction is happening overseas, we also name those who allow it to take place.
All right, we're going to go.
Every single person is complicit in this that isn't directly fighting against it and the government. Now, I'm not saying people have to go out and fight constantly. I think everyone should be involved. And if you don't vote, I'm sorry, you have no place in my community. I don't care if that gets me in trouble with people. If you don't vote, you have no place in my community, and I don't want to see you. I don't. I don't want to see people in my community who are pro-anti-voting. There's no exception, because this is what happens.